The city sets the pace. What is thought and said in today's city will shape tomorrow's world. And to city dwellers, now approaching 1/3 of mankind, the city is the world. So it is that here, in the midst of his most dazzling creation, man most quickly forgets just how earthy are his real origins and how basic the elements on which his true wealth depends. Sunlight, water, air, soil, and the leaf. The whole vast structure of human affairs resting upon resources so basic and so vital that we cease to notice them. Food links all living things. Man, too, as long as he eats and drinks, depends upon the bounty of the natural world. The endless harvest, based upon the endless natural cycle of inexhaustible sun and regenerating air, self-renewing soil and indestructible water. How then could it be possible to exhaust the inexhaustible? Man assumes it is not. But behind every question of man's resources, there now grows one master question. People. 3,000 million of them. By the end of the century, 6,000 million. It took man's history to reach today's population. Now he will double in 30 years. People. Not only more, but wanting more. More food, more goods, more space. Man has always wanted these things. What has altered beyond measure is his power to get them. The machine. The machine with which man has done more to change the world in a generation than in the rest of human history heretofore. Nature and man. There is a balance, if we can find it. But every day, less of nature. Every day, more of man. This is the shadow of progress. The sum of the world's water remains constant. Water cannot be depleted, but its purity can, and so can its usefulness. No one wanted this to happen. It is something we drifted into, a byproduct of making things. The good things, the things man wants more and more. We are all accessory to the murder of rivers. And so we have created a paradox, a scarcity, not of water, but of usable water. An inexhaustible resource in short supply. There are rivers in which bacteria have been estimated at 1,500 times human safety level. Rivers which must be continuously dredged of man-made wastes to keep them navigable. Rivers so clogged with rubbish that they have been declared a fire hazard. The sky, too, is everyone's sewer. This is the great airlift. Thousands of tons of daily rubbish on a free ride. It is an ill wind that blows from chimneys, harmful to health and plant growth, corrosive to stone and metals, veiling the sunlight, casting a shadow upon the quality of modern living. And though some chimneys are gradually responding to abatement, other, newer sources are growing. The aircraft and the motor vehicle. No machines have worked harder for man. Nothing has done more to widen his horizons. And yet, it is the same problem as with man himself. The problem of numbers. In Western Europe, 1 car per family. In America, approaching parity with people. And still, everywhere, growing. An irony of our times that the car, developed to move ever faster, should now be slowed down by its own numbers. And as the car slows down, its exhaust fumes increase. Photochemical smog, a warm climate phenomenon. Oxides of nitrogen and hydrocarbons, ill met by sunlight. And ice fog, again, no more harmful than normal exhaust emissions, though a bigger nuisance. Most cities are just smoggy, though from several sources. Here again we are exhausting the inexhaustible. Not air, but good air, freely available to the towns and cities where so many of us now live. Lakes have one special problem. Fertilizers are made to grow crops. Washed into the lake, they grow weed. Household and industrial chemicals speed the growth. Lake shores become strands of slime. Only the weed thrives. The rubbish of decay, and the rubbish that will never decay. The driftwood of our time. Junk, the shadow side of affluence. And junk sculpture, a comment upon the generation which put man on the moon without cleaning up its own backyard. Every day, less soil for crops, land lost under the wastes of industries, new industries, drugs, chemicals, plastics, detergents, all with problems of wastes and disposal. Mining, with its centuries of spoil heaps, spreading still, its long legacy of dereliction and abandonment. The city, greedy for growth, spreading upwards and outwards, pushing down to the shore, spilling into the water, outgrowing the planner's guess, overflowing the hills. The push of people, every day unrolling the concrete carpet further. Little houses accumulating into little streets into cities 50 miles across. Every year less solitude, less green spaces, less wildlife. Every year a species of bird and animal less. 800 species in danger of extinction now. And while birds and animals which present no threat to man diminish, another, sometimes less friendly life form persists. The insects and other small creatures, with a capacity for reproduction which only a computer can comprehend. They are tough, they are voracious, and they are many. Fortunately, only a small proportion of insects are pests. Furthermore, birds and animals eat them, and they prey on each other. And finally, each species is limited by its food supply. But man has encouraged the pest by moving plants from continent to continent, by planting large areas with a single crop. Man has provided an abundant food supply. The pest can now become a plague. Man fights back. His early victories were astonishing. Yet within 5 years, the first resistant insects were reported. New pesticides. More spraying. But now a second problem began to emerge. In terms of human hunger, we were gaining. But in terms of harm to wildlife, we were losing. In the fight for more food and less disease, pesticides have saved human lives out of all proportion to observable health damage. The balance is still in our favor. But food links all living things. And the lesson we are now learning is that harm to another part of the web of life is something man himself cannot afford to ignore.